It's time for another episode of The Oil Stream with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola, presented by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen.
Happy Draft Day, everybody, and welcome to a Draft Day episode of The Oil Stream, brought to you by our great partners at Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen. I know Furby's going to be fired up for Draft Day. He's a huge Oilers fan and financial supporter. Of course, he's one of the main guys at Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen, so they will be excited tonight. No doubt about that. Hey, why not settle in to watch the draft? I know the Oilers don't pick in the first round, but settle in, watch the draft with a delicious Popeye's chicken sandwich. Blackened chicken sandwich is back. Lots of options on the chicken train over at Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen. Presenting sponsor of the Oil Stream on the Nielsen Media Cool Bet Network. And if you want to bet on the draft, easy enough. Just do it at coolbet.com. Tons of options. I've got a Mitchkov prop that'll be posted a little bit later on today. Tommy Gazzola at the new place. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, welcome to my new place. I mean, it's been a whirlwind these last few days. A huge thank you to everyone who came out to BP Nemeo, first of all, on Monday night. Cool. And then I had a great Popeye's chicken sandwich at the Elks game.
Did you?
On Sunday. It was fantastic. I needed it, and it was great. It was so good. Yeah, this place, like, I've been here for 5 days. It's obviously very empty. My den/studio office is full of boxes. I have bags full of bags. I have boxes full of stuff that I forgot I even owned. I'm tethering to my phone right now because I'm supposed to have fiber optic in this building, but the previous owner managed to ruin the fiber optic cable. And so, they're going to come and fix it tomorrow, but it's just been like one thing after another. So far, so much has been learned by me. Having a mortgage sucks. Everything's broken. And moving is a pain in the ass. So we're getting there, and this will have to do for the time being.
You know what I think has happened here, Tommy? You're a full-blown adult now, buddy. That's what's happening now. The mortgage sucks. Welcome to adulthood, man. Welcome to adulthood.
You know what's funny is Awanik, he had a response for that. He goes, think of it this way. Now you're investing in yourself. I was like, shut up, Matthew. Shut up.
Awanik's had like a mortgage since he was like 24 years old. So, I mean,
that's all he ever wanted.
I know. Yeah, when I grew up, I want a mortgage. That's because we're investing in ourselves, which is the right way to look at it, I guess. All right, Tommy, it is draft day. How weird is it that like the Oilers are a non-factor at this draft? Like it's for so many years, you were at the draft, I was at the draft. They were picking high, or they were trying to move picks to bring in pieces to build around Connor McDavid, and it just seems so bloody dull this year.
Weird and dull are two good ways to describe it from an Oilers point of view, but at the same time, I think it's telling of the situation that the club is in. And if you would have gone to an Oilers fan, just any casual Oilers fan 5-6 years ago and said, hey, listen, your team's on the cusp of contention. McDavid and Draisaitl are two of the best players in the world, and you don't have a first-round pick or a third-round pick or a fourth-round pick. Are you okay with that? I think 95 to 98% of them would be like, that sounds pretty good. Yes, considering where the team was at. Although, I mean, in 17, they had that good run, but 18 and 19, terrible seasons, and then they kind of bounced back from there. Yeah, it's weird, and but it's telling of where the club is, and that's a good thing, I think, compared to all those drafts that you and I had to go to.
Oh, yeah.
Where they were picking in the top 10, top 5, top 3, and you're just like, oh, my God, when is this thing going to turn? And then now it has.
I think the first draft I ever covered was did they take Sam Gagner in 06? Yes. I think that would have been,
that was 07.
Was that 07? Okay, I was at the 06 draft. Was the 06 draft? Let me look up their 2006 draft. That was the first one I covered. That was like the Jonathan Taves draft, 2006 NHL draft.
Yeah. Would that have been Cogliano?
Was that the Cogliano draft? Let's see here. Edmonton Oilers. They did not have a first-round pick that year. They took Jeff Petrie.
There you go.
There you go. Jeff Petrie, second round, 45th overall.
Pretty good defenseman.
Yeah, not bad actually.
Yeah.
That worked out. That worked out okay. Nice pick. Nice pick. That was a solid pick up there for the Edmonton Oilers. Yeah, if any fans tonight, as they're watching the first round, just remember, oh man, if we still had to pick, you have Matthias Ekholm. And Matthias Ekholm has taken, I think, this club to another level. So it's good that when teams sacrifice picks and they have something of significance to show for it. The pick wasn't moved for a rental. The pick wasn't moved for, a guy that might be ready to pop. The pick was moved for a very important piece for your franchise moving forward, which has to make people feel so much better about it.
I would think so. Look at the impact he's had, not only in the play that he brings to the table, but how he's elevated Evan Bouchard, kind of slotted guys in where they should be. I think he's helped Darnell Nurse, absolutely. Brett Kulak gets an easier workload, more favorable matchups for Brett Kulak, who has, played above his weight class at times and done so quite well. So the ripple effect of the Ekholm deal is significant in a positive way. And that is a good reminder. And I know there's going to be some out there, I wish the Oilers were picking in the first round.
Yeah, you always want picks, right? You
that.
always
Yeah,
want
for
picks.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially at a time where they want to restock their shelves because, they've traded away, like Reed Schaefer went in that Ekholm deal and they gave away a first-round pick. And you're going to want guys, and I know they want like a Bourgault to pop eventually, and there was talk yesterday by Ken Holland about Lavoie, and he basically said what we had said on the Oil Stream is Lavoie is going to get a lot of looks in preseason. So you want to make sure that pipeline is flowing with a lot of good content, and that means high-end prospects from an Oilers standpoint. But this puts the pressure really, Dusty, this situation does, on the scouting department. And if they can find some diamonds in the rough or some late bloomers, then good on them. And Vinny Desharnais is one of those guys.
Yeah, he's obviously a guy who's really worked out for them so far. They're hoping that he continues to be a big piece of what they need on the back end. Obviously, there's been some discussion about trying to upgrade something over on that right side. Just quickly, as it is draft day, and here's the Oilers' current situation for the next 3 years as far as draft picks are concerned. Second rounder this year, 6th and 7th rounder this year. Next year, still have the first, still have the second, no third, no fourth. They do have a 5th, and they have 2 6s, no 7th. And then in 2025, they have their first, their second is gone, and they've got their 3rd, 4th, 5th round, 6th, and 7th. So, I mean, we'll see how it plays out. I'm totally on board with moving as many of those picks as you have to help this team win a Stanley Cup in the next 3 years. And I think the team probably has to have that mindset as well. We'll get to Clean Kostin in just a second with our Boston Pizza Appetizer, Tommy, but I want your thoughts on what we've seen from teams in the Pacific so far, starting with the Los Angeles Kings. Obviously, the Kings gave the Oilers a pretty stiff test in the postseason this year. And I thought Velarde and Iafallo were great in that series for the Kings. I think the Kings gave up a pretty good package to bring in Pierre-Luc Dubois, who, eventually they're looking at Danault and Dubois as a 1-2 punch, depending on how much time Kopitar has left. So I understand the strategy. I thought Winnipeg did really well with this trade. How does this impact the Oilers from a gotta beat the Kings perspective again next year?
Call me crazy, but I don't think the Kings are a better team today than they were yesterday. I have a lot of respect for Pierre-Luc Dubois. He's an excellent hockey player, but everywhere he's gone, it's become an issue. And maybe that's not going to be the case in LA, where he has a long-term deal. He can play in a pretty cool market and doesn't have to be the guy, but he is a key component of that team. There's just, and this is just me and listening to others around the league that have covered him and watching him play. Dusty, I think the LA Kings, I know what they're trying to do and get that high-end scoring talent in Pierre-Luc Dubois, but I think part of their identity was the grit and tenacity of an Iafallo, an emerging Gabe Velarde, and then, they threw in Rasmus Kupari, and a pick, I believe, as well. But
second rounder.
I think that the makeup of the Kings and how they attack you with their tenacity and maybe in the room, I don't know what the room is like, but I think, and I was talking to Sean Bell about this, he sent me the same message. He's like, I think the Kings are worse today than they were before they made this move. And I completely agree. That was my instinct. Call me crazy. And Dubois is a fantastic player, but I just think overall they gave up a lot of their identity to get Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Well, Velarde basically produced at the same rate as Dubois last year, right? 2 years younger. I know he's had some problems staying healthy, but I mean, that's why considering the situation the Jets are in with this player, for them to cash in the assets they did on the other side of this, I thought was phenomenal. And look, we haven't even got to free agency yet. Things are going to move around. Teams are not going to be what they were on September 1st, what they are right now, right? So things are obviously going to change. So I'm interested to see how the rest of the offseason plays out for the Los Angeles Kings, right? So that should be a fun one to watch. What about the Calgary Flames moving to Foley for Sharangovich in a pick? What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, they get an asset, they give him a deal, that's good. And now Craig Conroy and Jerome McGinley have to basically it's not a rebuild, but they have to change the face of this franchise because after Saravalli's 1-2-3 unbelievable right left right combination with the news that some key components aren't coming back, Hanifin, Lindholm, Toffoli told them no more. Yeah, he's got to change this thing on the fly. I think they're in trouble. I really do. I know there's some people asking. I think we talked about it on Monday. Toffoli to the Oilers, like no, that doesn't work. And I think this is Craig Conroy trying to make the most of a really tough situation that he's been jammed into.
I mean, interesting to see what happens in Calgary moving forward as well. Yeah. Interesting week for the Pacific. Oilers obviously quiet. Now, there has been some Oilers discussion this week, and let's dive into that. Boston Pizza Appetizer. Once again, huge thanks to Tara and the crew at Boston Pizza and to everybody who came out. It was awesome having like 3/4 of the lounge full of people there just to, say hi to us and check out the oil stream. That was a really fun time. That was a good night. They've got that new summer menu out. And after we wrapped the episode, I tried those. What were they called? The
antojitos?
And yeah, like I gotta look up their menu right now because
it was so good. You're like, you gotta try it.
Oh my God. Yeah, I took one over to Uchaz. Big Yuku was there, and he was like, "Holy shit, this is delicious." So yeah, the new summer menu. There's these like beef it's like a beef wrap with
they look like taquitos, but they're soft shell.
Yeah,
I thought they were great.
It was delicious.
Antojitos. I can't remember. I'm looking at
Yeah, when you go and you see the summer menu, they're on the top right side, and I'm telling you, like they were really good. A little spicy too when it was all said and done, but they were absolutely delicious. Patios are open, and go check it all out with our great partners over at Boston Pizza. What is the latest on Klim Kostin, Tommy? Is this trending towards him not being an Edmonton Oil? And this guy came in, seemed like a great fit with the group, dropped the mitts when needed, became a fan favorite. Is this really going to end over 250, 500K?
Maybe. Sounds like he's asking for too much when it comes to the Oilers' budget. And yeah, we've heard those KHL rumblings, and I'm sure those are completely legit because the KHL would like to get some of its best homegrown talent back over there. And yeah, if he's looking for $2 million, then he's dreaming because he's never played a full NHL season. His body of work is minimal. And although he has had a very good positive impact in some games, he has at times been sat. And again, it comes back to, and we talked about it on the post-game show, we talked about it here on the Oil Stream, the trust from the coaching staff in this player. And
that's the big one that hurts him, I think, right? Yeah. Like when they needed to dial things up a bit and shorten the bench to 9 or 10 guys.
He didn't.
I mean, there were games where in the first period he kind of looked okay, and he still played only 4 minutes. You know, like it just doesn't seem like this would be a coach. It doesn't seem to me like Woody's going to be going to Ken Holland and saying, "Hey, man, if we can make it work, we can use Kostin in a much bigger role than he had last year." Because you just didn't get that sense or vibe with the coaching staff.
No, exactly. I mean, and those are some pretty strong messages from the coaching staff in season when that's happening, and it's the little details of the game. And we hear at times, coaches to a fault fall in love with a certain player. Coaches to a fault maybe dislike a certain player in the style of game that they bring to the table. And I think, whereas Vinny Desharnais, they love him, you could say, quote unquote, to a fault. Whereas Klim Kostin, maybe they don't value and trust him, quote unquote, to a fault.
So do you think he's in the K next year? Do you think that's what ends up happening here or what?
From a optimistic perspective, I hope, whoever his agent is says, just take a deal, a reasonable one with Edmonton, and continue to build on what you're doing. If it doesn't work out, they can trade you.
Take $1 million. Take $1 million bucks. Try to be part of a championship team. Maybe you get an elevated role. Maybe somebody gets hurt throughout the year, and you have to get elevated. And maybe you score 15 goals or something like that again, this upcoming season, right? So
that's me being optimistic. I hope they find a way to come to an agreement, but it seems like right now, from things I've been told and listening to the stuff coming out of Nashville right now, that it's kind of leaning towards, hey, maybe this deal doesn't happen. I mean, Ken Holland yesterday, when he talked about Klim Kostin, I didn't hear anything positive in the tone or in the wording of the situation. So that sounds like it's leaning towards him not being around, which is unfortunate because I think he brings a lot to the table.
Well, I was going to say, he is an intriguing package, he scored at a 15-goal pace last year, right? He had 11 goals in 50-some games, which I could see his agent being like, well, you scored at a 15-goal pace. That might put you in conversation for 1.75 to $2 million, but not here. Just financially, it's impossible to do. So, Maddie Snapback says, if I have to replace my Kostin jersey, I'll be so sad. Tommy, what's how long do you need to see a player before you can reasonably purchase a jersey? To me, the Kostin jersey, that's a quick turnaround. You're hopping in there. I mean, I think you should sit down, look at contractual obligations, the salary cap. If you're diving into a $250 jersey, I don't think it can be all willy-nilly, my man.
I've met a few people who bought Kostin jerseys, which is kind of cool to see. People jumping in on a player like that because of what he brings. But at the same time, I saw Ekholm jerseys, I think by game 1 or game 2 of when he got into the lineup. It was quick. So let's see.
That's a different level than Kostin, though, right? They just mortgaged a good chunk of their future for Ekholm. He's going to be here for a few years, and he's got that great beard and stuff, so everybody's going to love him. But
there are people with some really obscure jerseys out there, so I'm not surprised that people jumped in on Kostin, but I'd be a little more cautious, and I'd probably want to go with someone who probably will be around a little long term.
99 on Twitter says that picture of him getting off the plane earned him $500K easy. Tommy, do you think he gets another $500,000 a season because people think he's got a huge dick?
I can't believe I'm answering this question. The answer is no, but that's hilarious.
I'm not sure you'll get that on other programs today. So I'm happy that the Oil Stream was able to provide people with that.
Is Klim's middle name Rodney by any chance?
All right, let's dive into inside the numbers here for Cool Bet Canada. Like I said, if you want to bet the draft, you can go bet the draft. They got a ton of different props. I already got on, I think over forwards, 24.5 in the first round. Real top-heavy forward draft this year, so I think that usually helps. Like I said, I've got a lock shop play of the day coming up over on the Cool Bet socials later on when it comes to the Michkov pick. Tommy, you've covered a lot of drafts. Just quickly on this Michkov kid. I mean, there's been a lot of drafts where there's that buzz right before the draft. I remember in the Tavares draft, people were like, oh man, we're hearing they might be looking at Matt Duchene or Hedman. It could, and then all of a sudden, John Tavares, the longtime I'm not saying this impacts Bedard, but I always remember that buzz leading up to the Tavares pick, and then Tavares obviously went first overall, Hedman 2, and Duchene 3. There's been some pretty good buzz in Nashville with Michkov doing some interviews and things, but there's 4 elite centers at the top of this draft. I just don't see anybody ruining the opportunity to draft a guy that you're going to have for a wild card who's extremely talented. Yeah. But I just don't see that happening. I guess what I wanted to say is you've covered a lot of drafts. We see these type of storylines develop day of draft, and usually it's always like, oh, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. And then Michkov goes 8th. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. It creates a little bit of buzz and get some clicks and stuff like that. I think of Yakupov in that draft. I mean, Galchenyuk and where he went. I think, what did he play? One game that season.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I know people think he might fall, but then he only talked to the top 10 teams, or those were the interviews he did. I don't think with the Russia thing, the situation and the war with Russian players, and it's created this shroud of uncertainty, and certainly in the hockey world too.
Even
So
more so than before, right? Like there's always been a little bit of a Russian wild card factor. Now it's been taken to another level. So we'll see.
Unless Jarmo Kekalainen plans on doing something crazy like in 2016.
I don't even think they said they talked to him, though. I think Columbus said they didn't even talk to him. So I don't know.
The New York Islanders didn't even talk to Griffin Reinhart, and they took him, fourth overall?
Well, that's their mistake.
Well, that was telling of
that's
that
a tough one for Griff there.
Yeah,
all right, so here we go. Inside the numbers for CoolBet. If you want to bet on the NHL draft, do it over at coolbet.com. For some reason you don't have an account and you're watching this, you can sign up. Use the code LOCKSHOP when you do, and you'll get a 100% deposit bonus. And stay cool. Bet responsibly, obviously, with CoolBet. But if you do want to make the draft, especially with no first rounder for the Oilers tonight, a little more interesting. You can go and bet on that. Now, this prop isn't up over there because I don't think they like to get into the trades and everything like that, Tommy. But over or under 3.5 players drafted by the Oilers over the next 2 days. As of this moment, they got 3 picks.
3.5. I'll go over. And they trade
down and pick up a couple picks?
Yeah, and I say they end up with 4 picks.
Yeah.
I'll go over. I don't like the odds of that, but
yeah,
if the guy that they want isn't there, or someone that they've scouted hard isn't there in the second round, I was told that they would trade back for a couple of extra picks.
Basically, they're not going to say no, we're not open for business. They wouldn't mind adding a couple more. They've drafted relatively well later in drafts. Like they've got guys that have at least factored into some sort of conversation at some point, right? So I think they've got that going for them if they wanted to slide on down the draft order a little bit. All right, it is draft day today. Odds are I'll probably throw up an oil stream in 5 with some reaction just to the second round pick tomorrow. So watch for that on your podcast feeds, and then we'll be back, obviously, later in the week to continue with the coverage of the Edmonton Oilers. Probably going to be a quiet free agency as well. But that's what happens when you've built a legitimate contender. So this is the life that you must now live. Tommy, we'll let you get back to set up your place, buddy. Get us out of here, man.
Thank you so much. By the way, come say hi to us tonight at the Riverhawks game.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Look forward to that.
Section I gang. I think we're going to be bouncing around, so come say hi, just like we did at the Elks game, which was absolutely a ton of fun, and just like we did at BP on Monday. That was awesome. So with that being said, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for clicking like, subscribe, continue to do so. Smash that thumbs up button. Get those notifications coming your way. Gazzola and Dusty out.